The hostess smiles as she leads us toward the back of the restaurant, past linen-draped tables and soft candlelight. My fingers curl around the strap of my purse. Inside, folded into a neat rectangle, sits 3 years of my life reduced to 12 pages of bank statements. I don't know yet if I'll use them. I tell myself I'm only carrying them as a reminder, proof that I'm not imagining things, that I'm not the ungrateful daughter my mother has spent years insisting I am. 60 candles and a dinner reservation at Rosewood Grill. My father's birthday, the one night a year the whole family agrees to sit in the same room and pretend. My brother is already at the table when I arrive. He's got that look, the easy, unhurried posture of someone who has never once worried about whether their card will clear. His fiancée, Danielle, sits beside him, scrolling her phone. Across from them, my mother straightens the centerpiece she didn't arrange and somehow still takes credit for. My father stands when he sees me, arms open, and for a moment I feel 7 years old again, safe in the way only a father's hug can make you feel. Happy birthday, Dad. He squeezes me and whispers, "Glad you made it, sweetheart." My grandmother is already seated at the far end of the table, her silver hair pinned back the way she's worn it for as long as I can remember. She watches me navigate the greetings with the quiet attention of someone who has seen everything at least twice. When I reach her, she takes both my hands in hers and says nothing. She doesn't need to. Her eyes say what she can never say out loud with my mother sitting 6 feet away. I settle into the chair between my grandmother and my father. My brother Marcus leans across the table immediately. "Sarah, good timing. I actually wanted to talk to you tonight about something." He says it the way he says everything, casually, like the conversation is already over and I've already agreed. I know what's coming before he finishes the sentence. The thing is, I've heard some version of this conversation 11 times in 3 years. There's always a thing. There's always a reason. There's always a number attached at the end, delivered with the confidence of someone who has never once been told no by anyone who mattered. I remember the first time clearly. I had been at my job at the accounting firm for exactly 4 months when my mother called on a Thursday afternoon. Her voice had that particular texture, soft around the edges, tired in the middle, the one she uses when she needs something. "Your brother is in a rough patch," she'd said. "The food truck didn't work out. He just needs a bridge loan, just until he gets back on his feet. Just $2,000. You have savings now." I did have savings. I had exactly $2,340 in savings, after moving into my apartment, buying a used car, and paying down the last of my student loans by myself. I sent Marcus $2,000 the following morning. I told myself it was a gift. I told myself he'd bounce back. He always did, in the way that people always do when someone else is quietly absorbing the cost of their failures. The food truck became a print shop. The print shop became a fitness app. The fitness app became a real estate education course he wanted to take in Scottsdale. And somewhere between the fitness app and the real estate course, my 2,000 became 11,000, became 23,000, and I stopped counting, because the counting made something in my chest feel too heavy to carry. What I never stopped doing was sending the money. My mother refills her wine glass and asks my brother about his newest venture, something about a mobile detailing business, with the same bright-eyed attention she used to give his Little League games. She turns to me eventually, a brief survey, like checking a box. "You look tired," she says. "Are you sleeping enough?" It's her version of a greeting. I've been getting it since high school, when my B+ average wasn't Marcuse's A-, and my art projects weren't his debate trophies, and my life somehow always needed a small adjustment to be worth her full attention. My father orders steak. He's talking to my uncle about fishing, laughing in a way that fills the room with genuine warmth. He has always been the easier one. Not absent, just conflict avoidant in the particular way of men who love their families but have learned that certain storms pass faster if you leave the room. He never knew exactly what was happening, or maybe he knew and didn't ask because asking would have required him to act. I pick up my water glass and keep my hands busy. Marcus clears his throat. "So I've been talking to a guy about a warehouse space on the south side of town. Distribution for local artisan brands, small batch stuff. The margins are actually really strong if you get in early." He's looking at me with that easy smile, the one that has charmed every teacher and landlord and distant relative within a 20-mile radius for his entire life. I just need a short-term capital injection to lock in the lease before someone else grabs it. He pauses. Nothing dramatic. Around 15,000. The table goes quiet in the way that tables do when everyone is pretending not to listen. $15,000. I teach myself to breathe normally. My rent is $1,350. My car payment is $287. My student loan is finally, after 4 years, down to its last 11 months. Ryan and I have been saving carefully, methodically, the way two people save when they know no one is going to hand them anything for a house. We have $22,000 set aside. It took us 2.5 years. Marcus, I say, and my voice is very calm. I can't do that. The silence stretches. My mother sets her fork down. Danielle looks at her phone. It's not a no, Marcus says, adjusting. I'm not asking you to just give it. It's a loan. I'll structure it properly this time. I feel something shift in my chest. Not anger exactly. Something older than anger. This time. He said this time. I look at him across the candlelight. My brother, who shares my father's nose and my grandmother's eyes, who I used to follow around the backyard when I was 4 because I wanted to go wherever he was going, who I drove 3 hours to help move into his first apartment and who forgot to call me on my college graduation because he had tickets to a concert that weekend. My mother leans forward slightly. Sarah, he just needs a bridge. You're in accounting. You understand how cash flow works better than any of us. She says it like she's paying me a compliment. Like reminding me of my profession is the same as explaining why I should hand over $15,000 to a man who still owes me the original $2,000 from 3 years ago. And something about that, the ease of it, the assumption folded into the texture of her voice, the absolute certainty that I will smooth this over, the way I always smooth things over something, about it makes me reach into my purse. I don't decide to do it. Or maybe I do. Somewhere below the level of conscious thought, in the part of me that has been quietly keeping score for years without permission, I pull out the folded pages and set them on the table. My father looks up from his conversation. My grandmother goes very still. These are my bank statements, I say. The last 3 years. I've highlighted the relevant transactions. My mother's expression shifts. The particular way her jaw tightens when something is not going according to plan. I turn to the first page. March 14th, 3 years ago. $2,000. Marcus, that was the food truck. I was 4 months into my job. You said you'd pay it back when the business found its footing. I look at him evenly. It never did. He opens his mouth. I keep going. August 3rd. $3,500. The print shop lease deposit. Mom, you called me and said it was a one-time thing. You said he just needed someone to believe in him. I believed in him to the tune of $3,500. I flip to the next page. November 22nd. 1200. Danielle, you probably don't know this one. It was before you two were together. That was the month Marcus's car got repossessed and he needed a rental to get to his day job. 2 weeks turned into 6 weeks. The rental total was $1,180. I covered it. The bread basket sits untouched in the center of the table. My father has put his fork down. He is looking at me with an expression I have never seen on his face before, or maybe I have seen it and didn't know what it was. Recognition. Maybe. The slow arrival of something he had been carefully not looking at. February of last year. I continue. This is the big one. I turn to page 7. $11,400. Over 4 months. In 3 separate transfers. The Scottsdale real estate course and the associated expenses. Flights, hotel, the course materials. Marcus, you told me it was going to change everything. You said you'd be closing deals within 6 months. I pause. It's been 14 months. Marcus's jaw is tight. His easy posture is gone. You're making this into something it isn't. We're at Dad's birthday dinner. I know where we are. My voice stays even. I've been making your problems into something manageable for 3 years. I think I'm allowed one honest conversation. My mother's hand comes down flat on the table. Not hard enough to make a scene, but hard enough to mean something. This is a family dinner. This is your father's birthday. She uses the voice, the one layered with disappointment, seasoned with sacrifice, the voice I have been trying to earn my way out from under since I was 15 years old. You don't air private things in front of everyone. I look at her. Mom, with respect, you just asked me to hand over $15,000 in front of everyone. I think the privacy window closed about 4 minutes ago. My uncle coughs. Danielle excuses herself to the restroom with the focused urgency of someone who wants no part of what is happening. I turn to the last page. In the bottom right corner, I've written a number in red pen. Not because I'm dramatic, because I am an accountant and because numbers without totals are just stories. and I needed this to be something more than a story. $38,420. That's the total. Over 36 months. I fold the pages once, carefully, and set them in front of Marcus. That's what the ledger says. The word ledger does something to the room. My grandmother reaches over and places her hand over mine. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to. Her hand is warm and dry and absolutely steady, and it is the most grounding thing I have felt all evening. Families help each other, my mother says, but her voice has lost its authority. It sounds thinner than usual, like something with the certainty drained out of it. You're right, I say. Families do help each other. They also say thank you. They also ask how you're doing before they ask how much you can spare. They notice when one person is carrying what should belong to everyone. I pause. $38,000 is not a bridge loan, Mom. It's a down payment on a house. It's 2 years of retirement contributions. It's what Ryan and I have been trying to build for ourselves while making sure Marcus never had to face a consequence. Marcus starts to speak. That's not. I hold up one hand. I'm not asking you to pay it back. I gave it. That's on me. I'm just telling you that I know the number. I know exactly what it is. And I need you to know that I know, because I think everyone at this table has been relying on me not saying it out loud. My father picks up the pages. He turns them slowly, reading. His face does something complicated, the particular compression of a man encountering a truth he should have found himself years earlier. He sets them down and looks at Marcus. Son. Just one word. But the weight of it. Dad. Marcus's voice shifts, loses its confidence. It's not like she's struggling. She's doing fine. Is that the standard? I ask. I'm doing fine, so the rest doesn't matter? No one answers. I look at my father. I love you, Dad. Happy birthday. I mean that. I reach over and squeeze his hand. This isn't about your birthday. It's about the fact that I've been asked, in front of you and everyone else, to write another check, and I can't do that anymore. Not because I don't love this family. Because I do, and I still can't do it. My grandmother makes a small sound. It is the most minimal expression of vindication I have ever heard. One small breath of air, barely audible. But in the context of 60 years of watching my grandmother hold her tongue out of loyalty to her daughter-in-law, it lands like a thunderclap. My mother stands up. She sets her napkin down with precise, contained movements. She is not going to cry in public. She never does. I need some air, she says, and she leaves the table without looking at anyone. Marcus rubs his face with both hands. He looks, for the first time in recent memory, like someone who is genuinely tired. I knew, he says finally, quietly. Everyone looks at him. I knew she was covering for me. He says it to the tablecloth. Not every time, but enough times. I told myself it was fine because she offered, because she never said no. His voice roughens. That doesn't make it fine. No, I say. It doesn't. He meets my eyes for a long moment. The distance between us in that look is everything we haven't said to each other in 3 years. I don't forgive him in that moment. That would be too easy, too fast, and I have never been interested in convenient resolutions. But something passes between us that has the shape of a beginning. My father drives me home that night, even though it's 20 minutes out of his way. We sit in his truck in front of my building for a while without saying much. The streetlights are orange through the windshield. How long has this been going on? He asks finally. 3 years. I tell him the number again. He exhales slowly, like he's trying to release something larger than air. I didn't know the amounts. His voice is careful, measured. I knew Marcus borrowed money sometimes. Your mother said it was small things. I know. I don't say it with bitterness, just with the weariness of someone who has been managing the gap between what is said and what is true for a very long time. He looks at his hands on the steering wheel. I failed you on this, Sarah. I shake my head. Dad. No, let me say it. He is quiet for a moment. I let your mother manage things I should have paid attention to. That's not her fault. It's mine. You're my daughter. I should have been paying attention. I lean my head against the window. It's cold through the glass. The thing is, I say slowly, I didn't want you to see me as the one making problems. I just wanted to be useful enough that someone would look at me the way you look at Marcus when he walks in a room. He turns to me then, and his eyes are wet. Sarah Marie. He uses my full name, the way he only does when something matters. I have never once been less proud of you than I am of your brother. If I made you feel otherwise, that is the biggest mistake of my life. I don't cry until I'm inside my apartment. Ryan is waiting up, a cup of tea on the counter already steeping the way I like it, with the bag left in because I always forget to take it out. He takes one look at my face and opens his arms, and I walk into them and stand there for a long time, without saying anything. His sweater smells like the laundry detergent we buy from the grocery store, on the corner of 5th and Elm, because it's $2 cheaper than the kind my mother keeps recommending, and it is the most comforting smell in the world. I tell him everything. He listens without interrupting, which is one of the things I love most about him. When I finish, he says, "How do you feel?" I think about that for a moment. Scared, I say, like I broke something I can't put back together. And also, I exhale like I can breathe. For the first time in a long time, like I can actually breathe. He tucks my hair back. "Good," he says. "That second part, that's the important part. The next 2 weeks are complicated." My mother emails on a Monday morning with the subject line, "Family." It is 3 paragraphs long and uses the word disappointed 4 times. She has CC'd my aunt, my cousin Renee, and inexplicably, my father's college roommate, who I have met exactly twice in my life. The email describes the birthday dinner incident, in the language of betrayal, how I ambushed the family, how I chose a public setting to humiliate my brother, how she has always sacrificed for me, and this is what she receives in return. I read it once. I save it to a folder labeled Documentation. I do not respond. Marcus texts me 2 days later. Not about money. He says, "I'm sorry. I've been thinking about everything you said. I don't have a good excuse. I just wanted you to know I'm not going to pretend anymore that what happened was okay." I sit with the text for a long time before I reply. "I believe you," I write back. "Give me some time." He sends a thumbs up. No argument, no follow-up request. It is the most respect he has ever paid me in a single interaction. My best friend, Claudia, comes over that Thursday with a bottle of wine and the particular energy of someone who has been waiting years to say, "I told you so," but is too good a friend to actually say it. Instead, she says, "How are you doing?" Really? And listens for 45 minutes without checking her phone once. "You know the wild part?" I say at some point. I think I was more afraid of my mother finding out I had the bank statements than I was of anyone knowing the actual dollar amount. She nods like this makes complete sense. Because the money you could survive losing. Her approval felt like something different. Yes, exactly that. The money was never really the point. The money was just the clearest way to measure how little I believed I was worth. 3 weeks after the birthday dinner, my father comes over for Sunday brunch. He brings his homemade biscuits, a recipe from his own mother that he only recently started making again, after years of leaving the cooking to my mother. He sets the container on my kitchen counter and looks around my apartment with the eyes of someone seeing it for the first time, even though he has been here before. "You've made it really nice in here," he says. I'm not sure he's ever said that before. We talk for 2 hours. Not about Marcus, not about my mother, about his job. He's taken on a part-time consulting role, something he's been avoiding since his semi-retirement because my mother preferred him available. About Grandma's garden, which is doing well this year. About a trip to Montana he and my uncle have been talking about for a decade and might actually take. Before he leaves, he pauses at the door. "I want you to know something." He looks at me steadily, the way he looked at me in the truck that night. "I've opened my own savings account, separate from your mother's. It's not much yet, but it's mine to manage." He pauses. "I should have had that 20 years ago. Better late than never." I hug him for a long time. My mother and I don't speak for 6 weeks. Not because I've issued an ultimatum, just because neither of us calls first, and for once in my life I don't feel the pull to be the one who closes the distance. I have spent 31 years closing the distance. I am learning what it feels like to let a space remain a space. She calls on a Sunday evening in late autumn. Her voice is different, not smaller exactly, but less rehearsed. Like she has used up her supply of the voice and this is what's underneath. "I don't agree with how you handled it," she says. "I know," I say. A long pause. I didn't know it had gotten to that number. Her voice catches slightly, enough that I notice. "I knew Marcus borrowed. I told myself it wasn't much. I think I didn't let myself look too closely. I wait. That was wrong." Her words come out careful and flat, like she is reading from something she wrote down and isn't sure she can say without the paper. "I leaned on you because you didn't complain. That wasn't fair to you. It is not a full apology. It is about 40% of one. but it is more than she has ever given me before, and I understand that for my mother, this is an act of significant effort. I accept it for what it is. I'd like to see you, she says. Not here. Somewhere neutral. Coffee. I think about it. Okay, I say. Next Saturday. We meet at a cafe downtown. She arrives 5 minutes early. I notice that. She is wearing the blue coat she knows I've always liked, which is either a coincidence or a deliberate choice. And either way, I file it away and say nothing. We talk for an hour. We do not solve anything. We do not reconstruct the past into something more comfortable than it was. But we are honest with each other in a way we have not been, possibly ever, and there is something in that which feels like the first weight-bearing brick of something new. Before we leave, she says, I still don't think you should have done it at dinner. Her chin is up slightly, which is the way she holds her chin when she is defending something she's not certain of. I nod. I understand why you think that. We stand on the sidewalk for a moment. Do you regret it? She asks. I think about those pages, folded in my purse. I think about the relief in my chest the morning after the birthday dinner, waking up to a world in which everyone knew the actual truth. I think about Ryan's sweater and the laundry detergent, and the way my grandmother squeezed my hand. No, I say. I don't. She nods once. Tight. Quick. And then she surprises me entirely by saying, Good. You were always too careful. Too quiet. She looks at something past my shoulder. I think I preferred it that way. That was also wrong. I call my grandmother from the parking garage. She picks up on the second ring, which means she was waiting. How did it go? She asks. It was a start, I say. Grandma, why didn't you ever say anything? In all those years? She is quiet for a moment. Because you needed to be the one to say it. If it had come from me, it would have been a fight between me and your mother. You were the only one who could make it a reckoning. She pauses. I've been waiting for you to see it for a long time, sweetheart. I sit in my car for a while after hanging up, watching the concrete ceiling of the parking garage, thinking about how long she waited, thinking about all the things that happen quietly inside families while everyone agrees to look somewhere else. Ryan and I close on our house 6 months later. A brick bungalow with a porch and a backyard and windows that face east, so the mornings come in golden. We take a photo on the front steps with the key, and I am in the absolute center of the frame. My father comes to help us paint the living room. He brings sandwiches and a level and a playlist of classic rock that he apologizes for and then refuses to change. At one point, he is standing on a ladder with a roller brush and laughing at something Ryan said, and I stop what I'm doing just to watch him. He looks like a man who has put something down recently. Something he was carrying for a long time without knowing it had a name. Marcus calls the week we move in. He got a job, a real one, with a salary and benefits, doing logistics coordination for a distribution company. He sounds different, more grounded, less like someone perpetually pitching. He doesn't mention the 38,000. Neither do I. But when he says, "Congratulations on the house," I can hear in his voice that he means two things at once, and I let myself receive both of them. I hang our first piece of art in the hallway, a print Ryan got me last Christmas that says nothing profound, just a simple landscape. A field in winter, gray and still and wide open. I stand back and look at it. The version of me who drove to that birthday dinner with 12 pages of bank statements folded in her purse is not someone I expected to become. I spent a long time believing that the cost of honesty was too high, that the family would not survive a real accounting, that my love for the people I came from was measured in what I absorbed without complaint. I was wrong about all of it. The family survived. Some of it changed shape. My relationship with my mother is quieter than it used to be, and more honest than it has ever been. My brother is learning slowly, genuinely, what it looks like to stand on his own. My father calls every Sunday, just to talk, without a reason, without a request. My grandmother brings lemon pound cake when she visits and sits in the armchair by the east-facing window like she was made for that exact spot of morning light. I have a new phrase I use when something is asked of me that should not be asked. I have given what I had to give, and that statement, clean and without apology, is the most valuable thing I own. The ledger is closed, not with bitterness, not with distance, but with the particular piece of someone who has finally decided that her own life is worth keeping the books on. I stand in my house, in the morning light, with a cup of coffee going warm in my hands, and I don't rehearse anything. For the first time in longer than I can remember, I don't have to.